Mikel Arteta and Erik Ten Hag has snuck up on us and suddenly become a heavyweight clash of managers. It's going to be a tactical battle this weekend, and there are a lot of similarities between how both managers implement their style and the results that we see on the pitch. Let's get into some of the differences and similarities between these two managers and who we might think comes out on top. Now, we are looking at two managers still in the early parts of their managerial careers, different stages. Erik Ten Hag has delivered titles. Mikel Arteta has delivered an FA Cup, a couple of 8 finishes, worked under Pep Guardiola, as has Erik Ten Hag. I have to admit, I think Arteta's doing a hell of a job. If there's one club whose form you might not trust in recent years, it's definitely Arsenal's. We've seen them blow hot and cold so many times over the last 2 decades that it wouldn't surprise you if they fell off a cliff after something very minor happening. I think it's a scepticism that has been well earned for Arsenal. And even in the first 2.5 years of the Arteta project, we saw a lot of false dawns. And of course, they're almost 2 decades away from their last title win, even though they sit top of the league right this minute. But there is a lot to like about this tabletop inside. And the first half of this season, particularly the fact that we're the only team that has beaten them, it does feel different. Now, in the previous matchup, Ten Hag's United did find a way to win the game, neutralise Arteta's possession-based football. And in flashes, it was a very Ten Hag-like performance. There was intricate passing mixed with bursts of direct line-breaking passes, and we saw a deep-lying Christian Eriksen cut balls through to Bruno Fernandes. But for the most part, United were quite pragmatic and attacked devastatingly on the transition, limiting Arsenal's capacity to effectively progress the ball through the final third with their usual triangles or even dribbles. Possibly United's performance was the first reflection of Ten Hag's growing influence, and it's shown a lot more, I think, than it did necessarily Arsenal's deficiencies. And even if that is the case, I think it's probably quite noteworthy that 2 of United's goals were a direct consequence of positional errors from Lokonga, and it will be Thomas Partey that is in that position this time around, and he is a much tougher prospect than Lokonga. This video is proudly brought to you by our friends at OneFootball. Download the OneFootball app, stay up to date with the latest news this transfer window. OneFootball has a feature that allows you to get the latest on players and teams. For example, if you want to see how United players have been doing statistically this season in a very quick manner, all you need to do is go to Discover, hit search, and the players and the team name, and click on a star button. Instantly get all the latest updates and the transfer news as well. Go to your profile and scroll down, and you'll see all the news and see their season stats too. So what are you waiting for? Check them out. Download OneFootball. It's an app that allows you to tap into the football ecosystem at the click of a button. And to get the OneFootball app, click on the link in the description below. It's completely free to use. They're sponsoring Stretford Paddock FC this season. You can see their logo across the front of our shirts. It's a very good app. It's one that we always use. So check it out. Links in the description. Download and enjoy. So talking about Arteta's tactical changes and his inverted fullback philosophy, Arsenal do like to control the game through possession. Arteta is an advocate of positional play and an approach where the team in possession take up positions across the pitch and attempt to create numerical advantages where there is constant rotations of players in position, movement from zone to zone across the length of the pitch, but this is particularly key in the final third. And the movement is triggered by a teammate's movement and the area that the ball is moved into, almost like a bit of a chess game with predetermined moves. And Arsenal's effectiveness of doing this has made them really good at disrupting teams' defensive shapes. The inverted fullback strategy is used by Ten Hag, it is used by Pep, it is used by Arteta, and it's been used effectively that the tactic has gone from being unorthodox to being heavily popularised. They're not the only 3 managers in the world that do it. It is done at all levels and with a ton of managers doing it. The fullback has now become an auxiliary number 6, a deep-lying playmaker for many teams, allowing you to transition easier, because when you've got a fullback that's entering the final third, trying to overlap your wingers, that's an easy place for you to attack on the transition. Transitions have become everything in the game at the moment. How you delay an opposition's transition and how fast can you transition into attack yourself. So if you've got a fullback that's standing near the corner flag, how's he getting back? Where he can be 40, 50 metres further back and allow you to move your midfielders a little bit further forward, and then that guy's going to be in position to deal with what's coming the other way. Very effective. Now, White and Zinchenko acting as inverted fullback create overloads in the midfield area. That allows Arsenal to control space that's in behind and also in front of the opposition's midfield. Just totally overloading him, and very much a Pep Guardiola 101 sort of tactic. Fullbacks coming inside allows the two central midfielders to push up. You've got opportunities then for them to overlap if need be, or underlap as you quite often see, or even rotate in with a striker. If a striker rotates away from a defender follows him, one of the midfielders pushes on and overloads the back line. If they don't, they leave the number 9 coming dropping in. Now you've got an even bigger overload in the middle and someone is going to be free just in front of the defence, and then that's dangerous as well. Fullbacks coming inside allows that sort of rotation in midfield. Arsenal, the two players that they like to push forward is Xhaka and Odegaard. Partey drops deep centrally. He's the one that is responsible with stopping what's going to happen coming back the other way. And both players have found a lot of freedom off Mikel Arteta and have been very influential in attacking build-up in the opposition half and in the final third. And the movement and the positions that they occupy has been really key to how well the team transitions to that 2 centre-halves, 3 fullbacks and 6, 5, which is winger, striker and midfielders, pushing against an opposition's back 4 and overloading an opposition's back 4. As the fullbacks come inside and sit narrow, the responsibility of Martinelli and Saka to make sure they stay wide and provide the team with width. Stay high, stay wide, try and find space and beyond for a ball in behind. Because they're holding possession up so high, it's now not a 60-metre pass, it's a 35, 40-metre pass, and that's a lot more accurate. Ten Hag, Arteta also have some similarities when it comes to the shape and the build-up. Ten Hag has got a similar setup, but the attacking shape is a little bit less adventurous, where we set up with a 2-3-4-1, where both fullbacks invert, Casemiro sits deep in between them, a bit like Partey does. Eriksen and Bruno advance forward into the wide half spaces. That's very similar to Xhaka and Odegaard. But the difference is, even though Ten Hag wants his wingers to keep his width in the shape, they generally hold it a little bit deeper than Arteta allows Saka and Martinelli, as they really look to push in beyond. United's starting position for wingers seems to be about 5 or 6 metres further backwards. Rashford is the only one that consistently gets onto the shoulder in the United side, and that's where you see the likes of Martinelli and Saka taking up positions where they're a dual threat. They can come to feet or they can go in behind, and that as a defender is very, very difficult to deal with. Depending on the opposition, Ten Hag can be flexible with the attacking shape for the build-up play, and there's 2 variations that he likes to use. There is a 2+2 box quartet that you'll see, or a safety square as I like to call it: Varane, Martinez, Casemiro, Malacia or Shaw, depending who's going to be at fullback, where instead of Eriksen, the extra member alongside Casemiro will be the fullback from the other side. And that, whether that's Malacia, Shaw drifting in field, depending on which side they're going to build up, that gives more space for Rashford to receive down the left wing. Or you've got the 2-5-3 shape. Bruno Fernandes and Christian Eriksen drop deeper either side of Casemiro, and then you've got the fullbacks thrown into there as well. That gives you a 5 right across the centre and still gives you a threat in the opposition half as well. They use the wingers inverted a little bit upfield to try and get wide overloads, to try and draw the opposition defence in, and the fullbacks can push on high as well. And then you make the opposition fullback make a decision: does he go for the fullback or does he stay with his player? So there are a lot of similarities and a few slight tweaks in the differences in how these two managers like to play. And I think it's the tweaks. And if I was to simplify this, I think it shows the extended period of time that Arteta spent under Pep Guardiola and the Dutch tendency of a little bit more direct wing play that Ten Hag holds inherently. And I think that explains the difference between the two. I think Ten Hag wants possession, but he wants final third action more than he wants possession. I think Arteta wants possession and sometimes sees possession as a goal in and of itself, a little bit the way Pep Guardiola does, and that's why you see him determined to overload certain areas. And I think Ten Hag almost throws back to Sir Alex Ferguson in a way where we want possession and we will have possession, but we're going to go direct, and sometimes going extremely direct is the way to do this. And that sort of flexibility, I think, suits Manchester United's personality. But you guys let me know in the comments. Do you agree? Do you disagree? And who's going to come out on top this weekend? See you in the next one. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.